Hey everyone, D'Anthony Fantangelo here, the internet's busiest commentary channel. And this is of course a new episode of Here's Why You're Wrong, a series where I take your hot takes, your tough questions, and your unpopular opinions, and I react to the best ones. This is of course my own original series that I came up with, and I've never seen anyone else on the entire internet do, especially Anthony Fantano. So today's a bit of a special Here's Why You're Wrong because the topic is blacklisted. It's about the obvious disease that's spreading throughout the world rapidly. But if I were to say the name of it, I'm just gonna get automatically demonetized, which I don't think is fair. So instead, I'm just gonna be calling it CV. And if you could do me a favor and put CV in the comments instead of the thing itself, I would really appreciate that. Now, what I think is kind of funny, well, funny is not the right word, but what's interesting about this whole situation is it's bringing people together, but driving them apart at the same time. So let's explore that. I am not sure why everyone is making it such a big issue to wash your hands and sanitize them when in reality, this is something you should already be doing. Here's why you're right. I do think this whole CV situation has kind of put it in people's mind that germs spread very quickly and that we are all just walking hosts for all manner of organisms. Yeah, I guess you could say it's a positive. I'm using the term positive very lightly. It's not that bad. People are seriously overreacting about it. Like, it spreads fast and you might get sick, but you're more than likely going to be fine. Here's why you're wrong. You're absolutely wrong. It is absolutely that bad because while you might be fine, and hopefully you would be fine, there are hundreds of millions of people who are at risk. So the issue with this whole CV thing is not whether or not you could get it, especially if you're in the group of people where it's not going to affect. It doesn't really matter if you get it. Nothing's going to happen to you. It matters that once you get it, you spread it to millions of people who could die. Some of the people panic buying may be buying for their older family and neighbors. I think we should encourage buying supplies for the people most at risk so they don't have to go directly into it. Here's why you're right. I saw a lot of shaming going around for people buying lots of things. But my mom watches this one YouTuber whose name is not coming to mind, but she has 10 kids and she obviously bought enough food for the 12 people in her household. I think it's absolutely important to consider that some of the people panic buying might just literally be buying, or like this person said, helping out other people. So very insightful. The Western world will always struggle through any epidemic/pandemic because people don't believe in community and collectivism. The emphasis here is placed only on self-preservation. Here's why you're right. You're just right. You can, in fact, I think that previous comment where that person said they would be fine and so it doesn't matter is the exact proof that you're right. The people who underplay the CV are being stupid because this is a legitimate concern, but people who overplay the CV need to calm down since all they do is cause panic and panic solves nothing. Here's why you're right. All the people saying, more people are dying from the flu. Please. But at the same time, people are acting like it's the end of the world, and that is not helpful. All that's gonna do is cause people to act like it's the end of the world. And then we're gonna have people dying from CV-related accidents more so than the disease. The CV toilet paper panic buying is the most unnecessary thing ever. So many people left the food aisle still intact. What are they gonna do? Eat the toilet paper? Here's why you're wrong. I want everyone who bought that much toilet paper to eat it. Like, I want them to eat it. I hope they do. Taking pics of empty shelves at the store doesn't help and just adds to the panic. Just doing it for internet points or whatever. Here's why you're right by default. No, it doesn't help. But at the same time, I kind of like seeing those pictures. Like, it's cool to see empty Walmarts. But that just might be because I'm weird, I guess. I don't know. That we are failing to stay at home and watch Netflix all day just shows how dumb we all are. Here's why you're right. I saw people bragging they're still going to insert large social gather. What is wrong with y'all? And it's like, as much as a very deep part of me wants to say, I hope you get it, solely because I know it's not gonna kill them, it's just gonna be uncomfortable. Unfortunately, they become a risk to everyone else around them. So no, I don't hope anyone gets it, but some people might deserve it. I think a cult for toilet roll should be formed, and those without should be perished. Here's why you're wrong. The only cult around here is D'Angelo Wallace on YouTube, okay? We got 200,000 members recently, and we are much better than the people hoarding toilet paper, I hope. Unless all 200,000 of my subscribers are hoarding toilet paper and I'm just the only one left out. We should continue supporting Chinese fast food places. Just because they're Chinese doesn't mean they have or carry CV. Here's why you're right. And you would think that this would be basic understanding, right? Do you actually think that just because someone is Chinese, that they are carrying something that's spreading in China? We're in the United States, or insert whatever place you're from. When the Black Plague was floating around, did every single European person just become a risk? Actually, that's not that good of a question, but you get the point I'm trying to make. People who stockpile hand sanitizer / medical supplies just to sell them off for higher prices are gross and should have to donate the supplies and pay a massive fine. Here's why you're right. So you bought $17,000 worth of hand sanitizer. It's only natural that you just drop it off at the nearest hospital, right? And then pay an additional $17,000 for holding up all the hospitals in the area. Toilet paper is by far one of the least necessary things to buy, and I don't know why that's the thing people are freaking out over. Here's why you're right. Without going into too much detail, toilet paper is not a necessity for good hygiene. You can do the job with multiple tools, and that's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm sick and tired of hearing about CV. The media is promoting mass panic, and while CV can be serious for some, the whole situation is not being portrayed accurately. At this point, the worst thing we can do is panic, and well, yikes, just yikes. People need to chill. I can't say whether or not you're right or wrong because I don't know which media you're referring to. You're certainly right in the fact that some media outlets are just running with this CV thing. They're acting like the world is ending, and that's definitely not happening. But on the other hand, I've seen some media outlets severely underreporting, which is much more harmful in my opinion. So schools need to realize that they can't wait a whole 3 days to 1 week before the shutdown. The virus is spreading super fast and anything can happen. Here's why you're right. If your school isn't shut down at this point, what are you doing? It really makes me feel like people have an attitude of, well, yes, it's happening, but it would never happen to me. And then fast forward and like the entire school has the CV. Stores should have started limiting the amount of items you can purchase per person days ago. Here's why you're right. That actually has happened in the stores around me. And why didn't they think of it in the first place? But honestly, they probably don't care because if you don't limit it, people are gonna buy a lot of it and then you're gonna make more money. People should have supplies for the elderly / people that already have illnesses. They need it more than the healthy people because they are more at risk of dying from the CV. Here's why you're right. Holy crap, I hope it's just common sense why this person is right. The US, compared to other countries, is handling CV horrendously. China, for example, could be back to normal within a couple days because they're doing stuff like sterilizing cities, building special hospitals, clinics, etc. And only recently have we declared a whole state of emergency. I just feel like this answer didn't age well. But here's why you're right. Yes, the initial handling of this entire situation was actually pretty awful, regardless of how China's doing. So I do agree that we could have done better, but unfortunately, it's just not possible to say whether doing better would have curtailed this thing or not. Quarantines aren't to protect yourself, it's to protect the people who are actually at risk and to slow down the people who are hospitalized, and everyone needs to understand that instead of being selfish. Here's why you're right. I see people on Twitter acting like, wait, I just realized almost everyone has been right so far. Huh. It's one of those days. Anyway, I see people on Twitter acting like, I'm quarantined, this is so hard for me. Like, huh? Like, don't get me wrong. I 100% believe that the quarantine is difficult no matter who you are. And I am talking about that. But like, it's not for you, right? You do realize that? But it just doesn't seem like everyone realizes that. People who use the CV as an excuse to show how racist they are should be launched into the sun for charity. Here's why you're wrong. The sun doesn't deserve that, okay? He's just minding his own business up there. Nobody wants to be around those people, including celestial bodies. 1. People who use this to sell essential oils, miracle cures, or stacked up hygiene products are disgusting. 2. So are the people who intentionally spread misinformation and disregard the whole thing. Yes, it probably won't kill you, but it will kill Garani if you infect her. 1. Here's why you're right. I saw someone on Instagram kind of claiming that they had essential oils that would ward off the CV, which, holy crap, man, where is the FT DC? Who does this kind of thing in the US? Is it the FDA? I have no idea, but wherever they are, they need to come quicker. Rudy Gobert did nothing wrong. He's just a regular dude that jokes like the rest of us, and anyone mad at him should re-examine their priorities. Here's why you're right. In fact, kind of you're right in a larger sense. I don't think there's anything wrong with joking about this thing to a reasonable extent. Obviously, the jokes that are at the expense of people who are hurting are very awful, and I'm not sure why you feel the need to make those. But I mean, the general CV flavored self-deprecation that's floating around, I personally find very amusing. There's nothing wrong with it. People not caring about the CV because it's only killing the sick and old is ableist. Here's why you're right. Ooh, this person is direct, but they ain't never lied. It's absolutely ableist and ageist to act like it just doesn't matter because it's only harming immunocompromised people and elderly people. Only? There's still people. God forbid somebody treated you like that once you pass a certain age because, well, you would die. Literally, that's what this whole thing is about. People who say you're overreacting to CV are wrong. A 3% death rate is millions of people dead, and that's a lot of dead people. Here's why you're right. It's almost like people don't understand how these things work. If something is spreading very quickly, and 3% of everyone who gets it is dropping dead. That's 3%. Like, sure, if it was 100 people, that's 3 people, which is still 3 people, but now it's getting into the thousands and the tens of thousands, and we could be looking at the hundreds of thousands. So percentages add up. Think about your taxes. People not recommending others to go out to bars or restaurants pisses me off a lot, because shutting everything down will put all of those small businesses at risk of bankruptcy, which will then affect all the employees. Shutting everything down equals our economy collapsing. Many of my close friends rely on their paychecks to live, and there aren't really any benefits / safety nets for restaurant workers. If you're older at risk, yes, stay home, but I don't get why someone going out to a bar that you're not at because you're in quarantine affects you. Also, don't tell me how to live my pandemic life. If I want to go out to a bar or get food with my friends, that's on me. You can stay home. This is why people are dying. With CV, I do think that the schools closing was a good decision for large schools, as it's more infectious than the flu, but I think the response to the shutdown is insane. I work at a grocery store and watch people fist fight over toilet paper, and my coworkers have hidden some. Here's why you're right. What? People are really acting like it's the end of days over toilet paper. You know, maybe all the people fighting over toilet paper deserve each other. The media is just using CV to make us panic and forget about actual issues going on. Either way, I don't trust the media, and for good reason. I also don't believe after all this settles, we could go back to normal. That's just my tinfoil hat talking though, LOL. Here's why you're right. The media is just not to be trusted no matter what the context is, but specifically, they are getting such a huge boost of attention off of this entire thing. It's just kind of a vicious cycle where, like, the worse it gets, the more press coverage they're able to put out and the more eyes, ad revenue, etc. they're able to get on their sites. So yeah, unfortunately, the media is like definitely profiting off of this situation, maybe more than anyone. Saw lots of replies to this thread referring to the UK not shutting schools, and I'd like to point out that this is because they're waiting until it peaks. There will be far more stress on the whole country if they shut schools now than if they did later. Here's why you're wrong. I thought, okay, hold on. Just to preface this, I'm no scientist or medical person, but I thought the whole point of shutting down things was to flatten the curve. We don't want it to peak. We want to prevent as much of this from happening as possible. When there's no cures or vaccines floating around, prevention is the best cure. Even if CV is something 97% of people don't need to worry about, quote unquote, it's really worrying that one sickness can show people how messed up the system is, especially when that messed up system was never hidden. Here's why you're right. I know people are kind of acting like, you know, the healthcare system has just completely broken down in recent days, but I think it's even scarier to think about the fact that nothing has changed though. This is the same healthcare system that we've been under. And kind of referring to what the other person said about things going back to normal. Can they? I would hope that they don't, actually. Maybe this can be used as some sort of stimulus for fixing these systems that are just so clearly ineffective, but I don't know what to do. I'm low-key happy that I get a break from school because of CV. Here's why you're right. I think that's perfectly valid. Like, is CV bad? Yes. Yes, it's awful. Clearly, it's who's gonna think it's a good thing? But it's perfectly valid to enjoy the break. I got a wee bit of a break because of CV as well, and it was kind of needed. YouTubers with no medical or biology training or experience should not be doing myth-busting videos about CV, as they risk spreading the same misinformation themselves or creating undue panic. Here's why you're right, actually. This is a call-out post to those YouTubers. Who do you think you are? Like, what would possess you to think that just because some people follow you on a website, that's a good idea to start doing medical theory videos? If anything, the very fact that you are a YouTuber is proof that no one should take your advice on anything, and I'm allowed to say that. But on the other side of the coin, I do have to thank all of the medical professionals out there, because there are some of those on YouTube and they're making really great, helpful, informative videos, and sadly, they're just getting demonetized because of it. So it's a two-sided coin. It's like, here's why you're right, and here's why, well, no, you're just right, but thank you to the doctors, okay? My parents, get a bag ready just in case we need to hit the road. It's like The Walking Dead out there. Please save me from my idiot parents. Here's why your parents are wrong. You're not gonna have to move. In fact, if you guys hit the road, that would actually be much more ill-advised than just staying home. There's a difference between taking preventative measures and paranoid measures. Also, CV isn't going to affect the majority of people badly, but it's important to stop the spread of the disease to protect the vulnerable members of the community. Here's why you're right. Actually, I keep seeing people talking about good, healthy, important preventative measures, and then just people in the comments being like, you're panicking. Oh my gosh, you can take precautions without panicking. At this point, it's just natural that we should be doing everything we can to stop it. Kind of disturbing that it took a pandemic for some people to start practicing basic hygiene, TBH. Here's why you're right. Y'all do realize that after this is over, you should probably keep washing your hands, right? I'm literally just waiting for this to finally blow over and someone on Twitter is gonna go there and be like, yay, I can finally stop washing my hands. And then it's gonna get like 180,000 likes, a ton of retweets, and the whole comment section will just be full of people who don't get the joke or don't know if they're joke. Like, am I the only one envisioning this? You know it's gonna happen. I should do it. CV isn't scary because it kills, it's scary because it spreads so easily. Here's why you're right. Thank you. This goes back to what I was trying to drive home about the 3% thing. Yes, 3% is low, admittedly, but with it spreading so easily, 3% of a lot is still a lot. CV is a good meme. That's all. Here's why you're right. I have seen some of the best memes I've ever seen in my life. I personally think this is a much better meme than World War III, but that's just my opinion. Thanks to CV, people are finally giving each other space and looking around and just overall being more aware in public. Why can't people be that polite all the time instead of right up my butt when I'm trying to get my produce? Here's why you're right. Introverts, we're finally winning, okay? Because now they're forced to act like us. CV bad. Now clap. Here's why you're right. There's never been a greater time for owning one of those Japanese toilets / bidets. Here's why you're right. Yes, but at the same time, I'm still scared of those. I know, I'm sorry. But yeah, with the general lack of toilet paper floating around, those people are winning right now. I honestly hope it gets worse, because this is the most interesting my life has ever been. Anyway, what I got from all this is that we actually, for the most part, seem to be on the same page for once. This is less of a here's why you're wrong and more of a restoring my faith in humanity. I'm glad most people seem to understand what the key issues are with this whole issue. I'm glad I was able to make this video to kind of talk about it for those who might not have understood, and I'm probably still going to get demonetized, so honestly, who cares?